We're live, Your Worship.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's council meeting. Council, first off, I'll be looking for a motion to approve the agenda.
Your Worship, I will move the adoption of the agenda as presented.
Thank you, Councillor Tolles.
I'll second that, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Degg. Council, this agenda was circulated to us last week. We all had a chance to read through it. However, I will go through and make sure that everyone, if you do have a question or a comment, you get a chance to speak. And we had a predetermined order, so I will go through and start with Councillor Tolles.
All good, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Degg.
Nothing to add, Your Worship. Thanks.
Councillor Martins.
Nothing from me, thank you.
Councillor Lewis.
Oh, agenda looks good.
Councillor Bowditch.
All good here, Your Worship.
Councillor Friesen.
Looks good, thank you.
Excellent. Motion was made by Councillor Tolles. It was seconded by Councillor Degg. All those in favor? Council, the motion's passed. Next up, looking for an adoption of the minutes from our last meeting.
Your Worship, I will make said motion to adopt the minutes of the regular council meeting from September the 8th, 2020.
Thank you, Councillor Martins.
I'll be happy to second that.
Thank you, Councillor Lewis. Same thing, we'll go through the same order to see if anyone's got any questions or comments, or if there were any omissions from the minutes we all had a chance to read through. And I'll start off with Councillor Tolles.
They all look good to me, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Degg.
Nothing from me, Your Worship.
Councillor Martins.
All looks good, thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Lewis.
Nope, the minutes look great.
Councillor Bowditch.
Everything looks good here, thank you.
Councillor Friesen.
All good for me, thanks.
Well, job well done as always, Madam Clerk. Motion was made by Councillor Martins, seconded by Councillor Lewis. All those in favor? Motion's passed. This evening, Council, we have three proclamations. I'm going to start it off first with inviting Bradford Giesbrecht from the Canadian Institute of Public Health Inspectors. He's here to attend and also to proclaim September the 20th to the 26th as Environmental Public Health Week. Bradford, welcome to Council.
Thank you very much, Your Worship and councillors. Thank you for having me. And thank you for proclaiming Environmental Public Health Week in the city of Swift Current. Is now a good time for me to present?
Yes, please. Please go ahead, Bradford.
All right. So we've celebrated Environmental Public Health Week annually since 2003. This year's theme is Public Health is a Collective Effort. We've chosen to highlight the role that environmental public health professionals play in helping protect the health of all Canadians. The COVID-19 pandemic highlights the importance of a strong public health system for Canadians and the role of public health professionals in maintaining public health to reduce the burden of disease on our healthcare system. We conduct risk assessments of facilities and eliminate or mitigate sources of contamination, transmission of disease, and injury. While environmental public health professionals have always worked in the background to prevent the spread of disease, the pandemic has brought their life-saving work to the forefront. We saw our environmental public health professionals educating the public on physical distancing measures, greeting travelers in airports, leading the setup of safe shelters, and guiding the safe reopening of restaurants and small businesses. Our environmental public health teams were leaders and partners during the pandemic. We know that increased awareness and appreciation for the work of public health professionals leads to better public health outcomes. That's why we are asking you to take time to acknowledge all of the environmental public health professionals for their tireless work behind the scenes, both during the pandemic and in the years to come. Every day, environmental public health professionals are in our communities inspecting food facilities, sampling drinking water systems, monitoring recreational water facilities and personal service establishments, and responding to environmental emergencies. By publicly recognizing Environmental Public Health Week and thanking environmental public health professionals, you will further contribute to recognizing the collective effort needed to support public health. On behalf of environmental public health professionals in your region and across Canada, we thank you for your support of our profession during Environmental Public Health Week. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Bradford, and truly thank you for being here today. I will open it up to council first to see if they have any questions or any comments for you. And I will start it off in the same order and start it with Councillor Tolles.
Thank you, Your Worship, and Bradford, thank you for being here and sharing with us. I must confess that I am not really familiar with the Canadian Institute of Public Health Inspectors. I guess I would always, maybe wrongfully, but I would think that would be like restaurants and keeping food safe. But now in the last 6 months, you've been in the limelight a lot more, and I think your theme, the public health as a collective effort, is really so important in this last 6 months. So thank you for educating me and making me a little smarter tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tolles. I'll pass it off next to Councillor Dagg.
Well, thank you, Your Worship. I just have nothing to add, but welcome, Bradford. So that's all I have today.
Thank you, Councillor Dagg. Councillor Martins.
Thanks, Your Worship. Welcome, Bradford. Always appreciate when you come to council and have a chance to present, and then talk about having a position that just get instantly thrust into the limelight, whether you like it or not. Like you kind of said, the position and work that you guys do was really a lot of it in the background, and all of a sudden you went from the back of the line, and now you're leading the pack. So greatly appreciated for all the work that you're doing, and your theme is absolutely correct. It's a collaborative effort to make sure that we can maintain and keep public health in the forefront of our minds. So thank you for the work that you do, and thank you for your presentation here tonight as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Martins. Next up is Councillor Lewis.
Yeah, thanks, Brad. Thanks for attending tonight. I'm not sure how you guys are pulling double shift at your house. For those of you who don't know, Brad and my wife Jen are both leaders of the local Girl Guides units. So they're having a planning meeting to decide how they can safely hold Girl Guides moving forward as well. So Brad, I just wanted to say thanks for making it work to come here tonight. And just wanted you to pass our collective thanks back to you and the other public health inspectors for the very important work that you guys are doing, not just in our community, but all across Canada. So thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Lewis. Next up, Councillor Bowditch.
Hi, Brad. Thanks again this year. I think I've talked to you other times about how much I appreciate what you do, how much work goes into keeping us safe. And like everybody has said, normally you're in the background. Now you're in the forefront of everything. And please thank you, and please pass it on to your staff as well, that you guys are doing a great job in a tough situation. So just keep her up, buddy. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Bowditch. Councillor Friesen.
Well, thanks. It's all been well said, but I'll just say that if any group deserve to be elevated to rock star status, it's our health inspectors and our healthcare folks, who I think in most cases were always taken for granted. And so I would like to express my appreciation for all that you've done, and we know now how much you do to keep us all safe. So, and I think we all have a much better appreciation of what goes into it. So thank you so much, Bradford, for being here and for all that you do to take care of our community.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Friesen. All very well said, and truly thank you. Brad, please extend that on to you and your team and to your other professionals across our province. As the mayor for the city of Swift Current, and on behalf of this council, I do hereby proclaim September the 20th to the 26th, 2020 as Environmental Public Health Week. And this proclamation will be here at City Hall, and we'll make sure that you get a copy of it. Thanks so much, Bradford, for being with us today.
Thank you very much for having me. And if I
Next
could just say
up,
something
go ahead,
before
please.
I want to let you guys know as well. You mentioned myself and my staff. Well, unfortunately, we are severely understaffed, and we have an extreme staffing crisis on the western part of the province. So here in Swift Current, out of the former Cypress Health region, it is myself and a student, along with my manager, Jackie Treen, or all the staff we have left here. The former Heartland Health region north of us, they will be at 0 staff in the upcoming month. And all the way up to North Battleford, they are currently at about 75% reduction of staff at the moment. So provincially, we are having an extreme emergency here with lack of staff. So.
Well, thanks for sharing that. Definitely, we'll pass that on, and hopefully you'll see some more teammates join you soon. But please, truly keep up the good work. That gets us through our first proclamation for this evening, Council. We do have a second one. Very happy to be welcoming Carla Wiens back to our Council meeting. Carla, as everybody knows, is the head of the Swift Current District Chamber of Commerce. Carla is here today to attend and to proclaim October the 1st to the 9th, as October is Small Business Month week. Very excited to hear all about that, Carla. So you have the floor. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Your Worship and Council, for inviting me to attend this evening. As you know, our local chamber represents over 400 businesses in Swift Current and District, and we work hard to promote our community as the very best place to live, work, and invest. And I am fully confident that this council and the city of Swift Current endorses these values as well. October is and has been known as Small Business Month throughout Canada for quite some time. It's a time to recognize the significance that small and medium-sized businesses have on our local economies. These businesses employ our family and friends, provide services to our residents and visitors, support our fundraising activities with prizes or donations, and absolutely deserve recognition and appreciation. Given the pandemic this year and the challenges many small businesses are currently facing, our traditional networking events and celebratory events and also trade shows are looking very different. We can still make the most of Small Business Month. Your local chamber is very proud to host our Swift Current Business Excellence, or SCBEX, Awards Gala virtually this year on October the 23rd. At 6:30 p.m., we will start the interactive pre-show for people to take photos and send in for contests. And at 7 o'clock, the live stream will commence with celebrity greetings and awards handed out in 10 categories. Get dressed up, host a watch party, perhaps even with a special theme, visit a local venue for an evening out, or have some fun. This event is complimentary for our entire community. Everyone is welcome, chamber members and non-members. Come join us and celebrate. I hope to see you there. And at this time, I would like to thank the City of Swift Current Council for proclaiming the month of October as Small Business Month. We think it is more important now than ever before to celebrate our small business community. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Carla. Totally and completely appreciate your sentiment and agree with it. We will hand it off to Council first to see if they have any questions or comments for you, and I'll start it off with Councillor Toles.
Thank you, Your Worship. And Carla, always good to see you at Council, always good to see you anywhere. And the great work that you do with the chamber and promoting our city, you know, making Swift Current the place where people want to come. I thank you for that. And, you know, the Small Business Month, I got a chuckle out of the Small Business Month week. That was interesting to me. But you know, to proclaim that, it's every small, you know, I can't even talk to that. I'm not a small business person. There are some on Council that will, but I just want to thank you for being a part of promoting everything we do in Swift Current. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Toles.
Thanks, Councillor Toles. Next up is Councillor Daigle.
Well, thank you, Your Worship. Hi, Carla. Good to see you again and welcome. You know, I think our local Chamber of Commerce is the envy of the province. I feel that our working relationship with the city and the Chamber of Commerce is fantastic, and I greatly appreciate that. I don't think that can be said in any other communities, or some of the other communities anyway. I'm really proud of our relationship, and I'm really proud of the Chamber and the work they do for their small businesses. Our city is made up of quite a few different small businesses, and your support for them and some of the services that you offer are greatly appreciated. So again, I appreciated our visit the other day. I had a chance to sit in on their chamber meeting because Councillor Lewis wasn't able to, and I had sat with them for a couple of years. So I really appreciate what's going on there. So thanks for coming, and I'm happy that we're proclaiming October as Small Business Month. So thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Daigle. Next up is Councillor Martins.
Thank you, Your Worship. Welcome, Carla. Good to see you again. And of course, just in reference to what Councillor Dole can say, I can speak to the sentiment of Small Business Month. You know, I greatly appreciate the work that the Chamber does to make sure that they can do the absolute most within their capabilities to promote the community and surrounding area. They do a fantastic job to make sure that we know the importance of the small businesses in our community. And you know, I don't have much more to add beyond what Councillor Dole is saying. I greatly appreciate the work that you have done with the Chamber and how, I can't think of the correct wording, but how there the Chamber is for the business community, if that makes any sense. So thank you to you and your team and the work that you're doing, and always very happy to, whether I have a business or I don't, always happy to proclaim and celebrate Small Business Month in Swift Current.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Martins. Next up is Councillor Lewis.
Thanks, Your Worship. Carla, thanks again for coming to make this proclamation with Council. All well said from my fellow councillors, of course. You know, small businesses are the backbone of our economy and will continue to be. And you know, any opportunity we can have as a council or a public government to shed a little bit of light on the things that small business goes through, I think is an opportunity that is well struck upon. So very happy that you could come and talk about small businesses with us here a little bit. I was just wondering during that week if there's any other events that you wanted to tell us about that might be taking place. I know that you talked about the SCBACs, but is there anything else that's happening in particular for Small Business Month week, I guess, in Swift Current?
Well, normally BDC every year celebrates Small Business Week, and this year it's October 18th to 24th. So we're happy to be hosting SCBACs at the culmination of that week, so to speak. Physical in-person events clearly are a challenge this year, but this month we will be out and about to do everything that we can to promote our local members and our local business economy, and we encourage all the residents in and around Swift Current to say thank you and get out and support these folks who, like you said, Councillor Lewis, are the backbone of our economy. It's important to show them our appreciation.
Great, thanks very much.
Thanks, Councillor Lewis. Next up is Councillor Bowditch.
Hi, Carla. As you know, I've used many of the services that the Chamber has to offer, and they're great for a small business when you can use these promotional items and things like that you have been offering. And I just want to thank you again for your hard work and for Mike's hard work and all the good stuff that you do within the community. So thank you, Carla, and have a great evening.
Thank you, Councillor Bowditch.
Thanks, Councillor Bowditch. Next up, Councillor Friesen.
Thanks, Your Worship. Thank you for being here, Carla. And I guess in light of the COVID situation, I know it's been a pretty tough time for some of our businesses. And so I would like to encourage everyone to do all they can to shop local, support local, eat local, and support our small businesses and help them get through this. Do you have, what kind of support programs or efforts does the local chamber have in place for the businesses in lieu of, or in light of the COVID situation, Carla?
Well, there are applications still open right now for the Canada United program, which is providing grants to several thousands of small businesses across Canada. So I would encourage non-members and members alike, if you're experiencing hardship, reach out to your local chamber. We're here as a resource to provide information or direct you. Our goal is to promote our entire business community. So our office line is open. We are working sometimes from home, sometimes in the office, but we encourage communication. If we can help in any way, shape, or fashion, we commit to doing so.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Friesen. And Carla, truly thank you for being here today. All very well said comments by this entire council. And I agree with what I've heard, that if we continue to work together and shopping local, we can truly grow this community together. And thank you for extending that on to all of your members and continuing with an excellent partnership between us and and your members.
Thank
As
you,
the
Your
mayor
Worship.
for the city of Swift Current, and on behalf of this council, I do hereby proclaim October the 1st to the 9th, 2020 as October is Small Business Month week. And Carla, we have a proclamation here that we'll make sure that you get a copy of. I'll bring it to your office for tomorrow morning.
Wonderful. Thank you, Your Worship. And thank you, City Council, for supporting our local businesses so well.
Thanks. Keep up the good work. Council, we have one more proclamation for us this evening. Welcome back to council, Deputy Fire Chief Pete LaRue, recently married this past weekend here in our city. Congratulations on that. He's here from our Swift Current Fire Department to proclaim October the 4th to the 10th as Fire Prevention Week. Welcome to council, Deputy Chief.
Thanks for having me back. So good evening, Mayor and Council and public. Each year during October, fire departments across North America use the common theme to encourage public, personal, and community safety. The beginning of October is Fire Prevention Week to commemorate the Great Chicago Fire in October of 1871. The year 2020 is the 95th year of Fire Prevention Week. Statistically, cooking is the #1 cause of home fires and home fire injuries in North America, while unattended cooking is the leading cause of fires in kitchens. Our theme this year is serving up fire safety in the kitchen. This year's theme acknowledges that with our lives becoming busier and with more distractions, we often multitask while preparing our meals. With demanding schedules, we may be getting the kids ready for hockey, or finding ball equipment, feeding the dog, checking out our social media accounts or following up on our latest emails, and seldom providing our full attention to our meal preparation time. To help acknowledge this year's theme, cook lunch or supper this week without watching TV, looking at your phone, viewing emails or social media. Give just a few minutes of your undivided attention to serving up a great meal and fire safety. The 2020 theme, Serving Up Fire Safety in the Kitchen, will be acknowledged between October 4th and 10th. I'd like to thank Mayor and Council for your support of our prevention activities and allowing us to present the 2020 Fire Prevention Week theme to the community. Our Fire Prevention Week activities this year will be dependent on COVID and our ability to interact with the community, while keeping our kids, the public, and our staff safe. Mayor and Council, I respectfully request that the week of October 4th through 10th, 2020 be proclaimed as Fire Prevention Week.
Thank you so much, Deputy Chief. First off, I'll hand it over to all of our council to see if they have any questions or comments for you, and I'll start it off with Councillor Tolles.
Thank you, and thank you, Deputy Chief, for being here. And you know, I really like your theme, serving up fire safety in the kitchen. If you want to drop by and cook me supper some night, that's okay with us. But you know, you're so right that we put things out to do and then get distracted, and not just in cooking, but in all kinds of things that may be campfires and all kinds of things that our attention is sometimes drawn away from what we should be doing. And so I thank you for always being here and reminding us that fire prevention is fire is a major killer, and we need to be really careful of it. I love your working with public, personal, and the community safety. Those are the things that I think we need to work on, and you're here doing that tonight. And so I just really, I guess this year you mentioned, you alluded to the fact that it'll be different working with kids. You usually bring us a little a helmet or a toy or something to council, and we're going to miss that this year. But you won't be able to take those to the schools, and it'll be just different, like it is a lot of things. But thank you for being here, and thank you for the work you do in keeping our community safe.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Tolles. Next up is Councillor Degg.
Well, thank you, Your Worship. Congratulations on your marriage, Deputy Fire Chief LaRue. I think that's a fantastic event, and I don't have anything more to add. I just wanted to thank you for all the good work that the fire department does for our community. And again, as I had mentioned with some previous people that presented, that we have a great working relationship with the fire department as well. And that's something that I really appreciate. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for that, Councillor Degg. Councillor Martins, you're up.
Thanks, Your Worship, and welcome to council, Deputy Chief. Good to see you again. I agree. I like this theme, the serving up fire safety in the kitchen. I mean, I can quite easily just think of being outside, you know, in the summertime, you're cooking on the barbecue, you're cooking something in the oven, you're cooking something on the top of the stove. You know, 2 kids running around, TV's going on. There's a million distractions. So it's a really very clear message. I do like what you said. You know, turn off the phone, don't use any distractions, just focus on the food. You know, because quite honestly, there's any number of things that could go wrong when you're in the middle of cooking. If you're sitting outside waiting for stuff to cook in the barbecue and your oven's going, you know what I mean? There's a lot of mistakes that can happen. So, you know, once again, I appreciate the theme, and I mean, fire safety is paramount 365 days a year, but it's always nice to kind of get that reminder and that refocus as to why it's so important and safe. And if you do end up going over to Councillor Toll's house to cook, don't worry, he only has an easy bake oven. That's all they'll allow him, so you should be good.
Thanks for that, Councillor Martins. Lots of laughs as always. Councillor Lewis, you're up.
Thanks, Your Worship. Thanks, Deputy Chief Leroux. Always appreciate hearing from you. This is my internal reminder for every year when I see you guys come to talk about fire prevention in the city of Swift Current. It's my own personal reminder to pull out my stepladder and walk around and check all the smoke detectors in my house. So while other people maybe do it on a certain special date, I wait for you to come and tell me to do it. So I'm not sure what we're going to do if I don't return to council, but maybe we can get on some sort of Zoom call or something moving forward.
We'll do it by Zoom.
Perfect. Yeah, I just wanted to say thanks to you and your team. You know, the last 11 years of hearing the same message about fire prevention is certainly not a mistake. It's something that you guys, it's a core tenet of your profession, and we appreciate that you guys take it with such seriousness, and that you do so much education in our community to that end. So I just want to say thanks. I know it's going to be a little different this year, as you've said, but it's just as important to continue talking about these things, and hopefully some other people, maybe the other 5 or 6 people out there listening, will also take this as their opportunity to go and check their smoke alarms and make sure that they focus on food while cooking, as I'll be sure to do for the next couple of days as well, until I need another reminder probably. So thanks to you and your team. Please pass back to the gals and guys at the hall our appreciation for all the work that they do to keep the community safe.
Will do. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Lewis. Councillor Bowditch, you're up.
Thanks a lot again. I really appreciate everything that you guys do, because I need lots of reminders and things like that. So it's all very good. Everything that's been said pretty much that I want to say by my fellow councillors before me. So thank you very much. And you fellows have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Bowditch. Councillor Friesen.
Well, thanks, Your Worship, and thanks for being here, Deputy Chief. And as always, a great message. I love that theme, so I'll be taking it to heart and trying to pay more attention to what I'm doing on the stove or the barbecue. And just thanks for all the great work you do for our city. Another group of people that are sometimes not appreciated as much as they should be. So we do appreciate all that the fire department does for us, and we're so glad you're there to help keep us safe. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Deputy Chief. All comments very well said. Please keep up the good work and keeping our community safe. As the mayor for the city of Swift Current, and on behalf of this council, I do hereby proclaim October the 4th to the 10th, 2020 as Fire Prevention Week. And Deputy Chief, this proclamation will be here at City Hall, and you'll be more than welcome to come pick it up anytime. Thank you so much for being here, and please extend to all of your team. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Council, that gets us through our proclamations for this evening. Next up, we have one delegation. At this time, I will invite Sergeant Kelly Guider from our Swift Current City RCMP. He's here to attend and to discuss any of the RCMP issues that have been going on. And welcome back to Council, Sergeant Kelly.
Thank you, Your Worship, and hello and good afternoon to yourself and the councillors.
Thank you. The floor is yours.
Well, I can start off by talking about our resources, and obviously there's been a slight change. Gary Hodges is no longer at the helm here. Gary took a new position with the South District Management Team, and he started with that position on August 17th. So since that day, he's actually been working at the Rural Detachment in a capacity that he kind of oversees the work of all the detachments throughout the Southwest. So luckily for me, even though I've assume some of his responsibilities until the new commander is identified. I do have Gary just up the hill, so I can reach out to him at any point if we have need. Currently, our resources we're sitting with 18 staff members here. The two corporal positions where we're waiting for a promotion and a transfer from New Brunswick, those positions are basically still being filled by Constable Don Kylo and Morgan Sibley. And those two officers have stepped up to help us with the leadership here at the detachment, so we're not suffering through this shortage. And things are going really well at this point. It's sad, but here a couple of weeks ago, we did get a transfer notice for Constable Terry Monson, who's currently a member of our GIS unit. And so his house is now up for sale, and he'll be with us until such day as that house sells, and then he and his family can make their way to Regina to his new post. I ran the stats, and I believe they've been provided to yourself and council. And I can see that over the last 3 months and on the 3-year average that the statistics for reported offenses has gone down, and which is a great trend for us. But I'm always one to look at any increases. And most recently, I noticed that there has been an increase in August, this last August period over previous years for weapons offenses. And if that drew anybody else's attention, I did want to just speak on that for a moment, in that we've seen a rise in the amount of charges being laid here, where we're encountering individuals either through traffic stops or say search warrants being executed on residences, but where we're finding people who are in possession of weapons, we are laying charges. The most common one is being in possession of a weapon that's dangerous to the public. So that can encompass a number of different types of weapons. It doesn't just have to be a firearm or a knife or a prohibited weapon. Basically anything that can be used as a weapon in the totality of the situation that we're in. And that would be where that rise has come in the weapons related offenses. We've seen some really good drug enforcement. The numbers in regards to drug trafficking offenses charges being laid has gone up, as has the possession of illegal substances. Those two are always going to relate though, because the more you have a community, oftentimes the more that people are dealing. And the officers here have done a really good job, I think, over the last number of years in identifying who's bringing the drugs in, who's trying to sell them to others. And that also leads us to some of the other offenses that are common on this report. In regards to, if we find somebody and charge them with some of these offenses, they sometimes get either released as a part of their conditions pending the outcome of court, or even as a part of their sentence. The conditions can include things like being on search conditions, where the police have the right and authority then to search them if we catch them out in a vehicle, or even attend the residence for a search. They may also be under conditions of curfew, which allows the public, let's say, to be safe through the night and not expect this person to be out committing any further crime. There was an increase as well in assault cases from 2019, but I have checked over a 5-year average, and 2019 was an unusually low year for any assault-based crimes being reported. Currently, the numbers are back into pretty much the 5-year average. So we haven't seen a spike. It's just that they have gone back up to what was the 5-year average. Now that we're into September, the school season has started, and I just wanted to advise yourself and council that Constable Tony Curdy is again back in the school. When the school closed in March of this year, obviously nobody was in the school anymore, and Constable Curdy was utilized then as a frontline resource. He was back onto general duty and helping keep the community safe. And he's just now returned back into a school liaison role, or a resource officer role at the school, to continue with those duties. And Tony just recently received, at the end of August, he was actually accepted into the National Youth Officer Training, and that's put on by the National Youth Services in Ottawa. So Tony was one of the successful applicants who completed the course and passed. That course was, of course, it was online, it was virtual, but it covered things like best practices for youth engagement, like mental health, suicide prevention, vaping, dangers of cannabis, child exploitation, and human trafficking. there was a lot of information that Tony was able to come away from that training with, and he's now working on implementing a lot of this new knowledge. We're hoping as well that he can become a bit of a subject matter expert in regards to the cannabis, the dangers of cannabis, let's say, not only for youth, but for all individuals who may not be, let's say, using it for lawful purposes. Abuse can come in any form. So that's one of the things that Tony really wants to strike at the heart of. There's not really anything else unless your worship or any councillors have questions for me.
Well, thanks so much for being here, Kelly, and thanks for the explanation for the stats that you've presented to us. I will start it off with Councillor Toll to see if he's got any questions or comments for you. Go ahead, please, Councillor Toll.
Thank you, Worship, and thanks for being here, Sergeant, and for giving us this information as you do on a regular basis. And thank you to all of your department for helping keep our city a safe and caring community. Congratulations to Constable Curdy. I know firsthand the work that he does with youth in this community, and to be a graduate of the National Youth Officer Training Program I think is going to be nothing but good for this community and for the kids who live here. So please pass that along to him. I'll be talking to him at our next Drug Strategy Action Committee meeting here in a couple of weeks. But until then, I think that's just something that is really great. Thank you for sharing that information on firearms. I had listed that as one of the things I wanted to ask you about. And the last thing I'll just mention is I always mention impaired driving, and there were still 5 in August, and that's 5 too many. But thank you for being on the job for that as well, and for the work you did with Sask Abilities. All of your officers running the track. That was amazing fundraising for a good public relations for you and for your staff and for the community. So just thanks for being here.
Thanks, Councillor Tolles. Next up is Councillor Degg.
Thank you, Your Worship. I don't have much to add. I just wanted to say welcome, Kelly, and always appreciate your visits with us and the information that you bring along. So, and again, I'm very happy with our relationship with the RCMP and the community, and I'm glad you're our providers. So, thank you.
Thanks so much, Councillor Martins. You're up next.
Thanks, Your Worship. Welcome, Sergeant Guider. Good to see you again, and I'm much appreciated about all the information that you did provide. Actually, the one question I did have was in regards to the year-over-year average in assaults from 2019 to 2020. So super disappointed to hear that 2019 was an off year in the sense that it was low. But again, I'm much appreciated for the work that you do in order to respond to those kind of calls. And I did also, as Councillor Tolles does currently, I did have the opportunity previously to work along with Constable Tony in the Drug Strategy Action Committee, and my congratulations to him. You know, it's extremely comforting to know that we have a school liaison officer such as himself that takes his job as seriously as he does in order to complete the course and get all the information that he would have gotten back to better serve the students that he has at the Swift Current Comprehensive High School. So pass my congratulations along to him, and thank you once again to you and your team.
Thank you so much, Councillor Martins. Councillor Lewis, you're up next.
Thanks, Dennis. Sergeant Guider, thanks so much for coming again tonight. I know in your new role, your hours are a little different, so thanks for extending them for us. We appreciate everything that you guys do, not just in our community, but to communicate with the community. And you know, I was just sitting here thinking, reflecting on some of the different things that that you guys are involved in throughout the community. You know, there's the Drug Strategy Action Committee. There's the community consultative group that I represent the city on as well. I know that you liaise with the mayor as well on a regular basis, and we have heard lots about Constable Curdy's actions in the high school and the other schools for that matter as well. And I just, you know, just wanted to, it's just sort of dawning on me, I guess, here as we're sitting talking about this, all of the ways that you guys are out there involved in the community. And I think that's a really outstanding thing to highlight tonight. You know, these stats that you go over are, you know, they're interesting and they're instructive, and certainly if there's things that are on the rise, those statistics catch them. But the things that those statistics don't really represent is, you know, just the really good personal work that you guys do in the community. And I as well am sad to hear of the very, very valuable members that you guys are unfortunately losing to other detachments. Our loss will be their gain. But I know that you guys have provided such clear and good leadership from an ethical and just a standpoint of being so involved in the community that whatever new members we get, we're going to learn from the culture that you guys have set. And I think we're going to be very well served by having them as well. So again, thanks to the gals and the guys at the detachment, and please pass along to them our thanks for the work that they do in the community.
Thanks, Councillor Lewis. Next up is Councillor Bowditch.
Thank you, Worship. Kelly, thank you very much for everything that you and your staff have done. Again, by the time I get to talk, the rest have aptly said what I need to say. And so I really appreciate it. Keep up the great work, and just thank you very much.
Well said, Councillor Bowditch. Next up is Councillor Friesen.
Thanks, Your Worship. I'm like Councillor Bowditch. I don't have a lot to add, but it's my night to appreciate all of our guests that are with us tonight. So I can't go without saying how much we appreciate you and all of your team down at the city detachment and everything you do. And again, a lot of it I know is behind the scenes and we don't see it, but you're there taking care of us, and it's much appreciated. I did have one question regarding the offenses in the Mental Health Act. I noticed that went up double from August of 19. And I'm just wondering if you could speak to what that involves and if you can let us know why it went up so much. Mental health is fairly high awareness item these last few months. So I was just curious about that and just wanted to know about it. Thank you.
In regards to the Mental Health Act calls that we receive, I was suspicious that we would see an increase, let's say, since March. And there has been a bit of an increase, but a lot of those cases are very similar to other cases we've had in the past. I wouldn't be able to actually attribute it to specific, say, COVID, being related to COVID concerns. It certainly could be related to economic hardship, unemployment. Part of the assaults that have kind of rose again as well come from domestic violence. And those are things that we're really trying to work on. I was recently in a meeting as well with some other partners, youth, child and family services. And I think a lot of families are still under strain. And it shows in some of those numbers, but maybe less than half of those are within the home. These are still, a lot of these mental health act calls that we're receiving are people who are out in the public. Some of the persons are transient in nature and they've come onto our radar due to their behavior while they're moving through our community. So we're trying to ensure that we're providing the adequate supports that we can. And a lot of those mental health calls result in us utilizing either mental health group in town or even the hospital. Sorry, Pat.
I just said, oh, thanks for the information.
Okay. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Council, and truly, Sergeant Guider, thanks for being here today. Please extend to all of your teammates to, again, please keep up the good work. I know it's a very different time for all of us right now, and very, very grateful for the work that you guys do today and that you continue to do. So, Council, that wraps us up our proclamation and our delegation for this evening, moving us down to items for action. And Council, we have one set of accounts to approve this evening, so I will hand it over to Ms. Cobbler. Please go ahead, Ms. Cobbler.
Thank you and good evening, Your Worship and members of Council. Enclosed are the General Revenue Fund disbursements for the period of September 8th to September 11th, 2020. I respectfully recommend that $3,109,308.62 in disbursements be approved. Included in that amount is a payment of $359,000 for payroll benefits, a payment of $230,000 and $997,000 for taxes collected on behalf of school supporters, a payment of $866,000 for the purchase of energy, a payment of $44,000 for the purchase of a wood chipper for use by community services, payments of $26,000 and $19,000 for the purchase of chemicals for use by the water treatment plant, a payment of $40,000 for the purchase of streetlights for use by the Light and Power Department, a payment of $20,000 for rental costs associated with election equipment, a payment of $26,000 for the purchase of inventory to be used by the Light and Power Department, a payment of $15,000 for costs related to the yard waste program, a payment of $47,000 for costs associated with the utility billing software system, a payment of $20,000 for plumbing and heating upgrades to Fairview Arena and the Art Gallery, payment of $18,000 for costs associated with the 2020 line painting program, payment of $22,000 for paving costs at the service center, a payment of $13,000 for the purchase of Vectobac to be used for mosquito control, a payment of $19,000 for roof upgrades at the RC Dole building, a payment of $15,000 for electrical upgrades to the Aquatic Center and Windscape Irrigation Project, a payment of $21,000 for the purchase of an outdoor tent for use by the city, a payment of $14,000 for costs associated with landfill cover material, and finally a payment of $18,000 for costs related to the Chaplain Street Bridge Rehabilitation Project, 11th Avenue Northwest Traffic Accommodation Plan, and the 2020 road program.
Thank you, Ms. Cobbler. Council will be looking for a motion.
Yes, Your Worship, I will make the motion that we pay $3,109,308.62 in disbursements for the period of September 8th to 11th.
Thanks, Councillor Bowditch.
I'll second that, Your Worship.
Thanks, Councillor Friesen. Same thing, Council. We'll go through the same list. See if anybody's got any questions or comments from Ms. Cobbler in regards to these set of accounts. I'll start it off with Councillor Tolles.
Thank you, Your Worship. And this is a question I was going to ask later under the library, but now that it's up in our accounts, maybe I can throw this to Director Jones. The roof at the RC Dole Center, how close is that to being finished, and what will it be done before winter?
Thank you, Councillor Tolles. Actually, we've had some really good progress with regards to the roof at the RC Dole. In fact, a large part of it has been completed. We have one extra area that we're going to have to do some stuff because there was plugged drains on it, which was leading to part of the leaking problem. So I was speaking with Chris Poole today, and they're on site doing it. It was a good test here on Sunday with all the rain and the wind that's there, and they think they have a large part of it covered now. So that's really good news.
You're on mute, Councillor Tolles.
Yeah. Excellent.
Still on mute, Councillor Tolles.
Now? There we
Yep,
go.
you're good
Thank
now,
you for
yeah.
that. This little button on my computer has a mind of its own. Thank you for that, Mr. Jones, and thank you. I have no further questions. I just appreciate the answer.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Councillor Tolles. Next up is Councillor Dagg.
Nothing to add, Your Worship.
Thanks, Councillor Martins.
Nothing extra for me, thank you.
Councillor Lewis.
No questions, thanks.
Councillor Bowditch.
Nothing further, Your Worship.
Councillor Friesen.
No questions, thank you.
Well, thanks, Council. Just maybe a quick comment, and that's that 2/3 of the amount that's being approved are to do with school payments that we collect and remit, as well as Sask Power Energy's purchase. So just a note for the public's benefit. It's not that we're just spending this money. It's returning the funds to the province that's theirs and buying for inventory to hopefully resell. This motion was made by Councillor Bowditch, seconded by Councillor Friesen. All those in favor? Council, the motion's passed. Next up, I believe it's Mr. Minkin. Oh, my apologies. It's not, it's Ms. Cobbler. I saw something for infrastructure. I thought that's where it was headed. Go ahead, please, Ms. Cobbler.
Thank you, Your Worship. The subject of this report relates to the replacement of a street sweeper. The City of Swift Current has 3 street sweepers in the equipment fleet that perform sweeping services throughout the city on an ongoing basis. Street sweepers are high maintenance units that are used in dust-filled environments and are in continuous operation for 8 to 9 months per year, resulting in a high degree of wear on the parts. In order to maintain the current level of service to businesses and residents, it is necessary to replace these units on a routine basis. The oldest unit in the fleet is a 2005 Elgin Road Wizard, which has exceeded its service life and is showing signs of fatigue. The approved 2020 capital budget for this replacement is $350,000. A request for proposals was posted on Sask Tenders and 8 proposals were received. Submissions were evaluated based on the following criteria: cost, compliance to specifications, delivery time, parts availability, warranty, and service location. 2 of the submissions did not meet the specifications outlined in the RFP. A summary of the remaining 6 proposals is attached. The Global M4 HSD sweeper exceeded all other units due to its operational features. This unit is the only purpose-built street sweeper where the sweeper components are not added to a modified truck chassis. With a stronger unmodified frame, there is less fatigue on the unit, resulting in a longer life. As well, the single engine design results in less maintenance and lower operating costs. With a mid-cab design, this unit offers the best visibility for the operator as well as ease of operation. This unit also has a larger debris hopper with the greatest lift capacity, resulting in fewer stops to empty the hopper, thereby increasing overall productivity. When compared to other units, the Global M4 HSD sweeper offers the best warranty in addition to other maintenance features. This unit includes easy access to all components for maintenance purposes. As well, once service certified, maintenance will be done in-house at the city service garage, and parts will be stocked on site, resulting in the unit being out of service for less time when repairs are required. The Global M4 HSD sweeper received the highest evaluation score and is deemed to be the best value to the city. It is therefore respectfully recommended that the proposal from Raymax Equipment Sales Limited of Calgary, Alberta, for the supply and delivery of a 2020 Global M4 HSD sweeper for the total net cost, including trade-in, of $330,614, PST included, GST excluded, be approved.
Thank you, Ms. Cobbler. Council, looking for a motion.
Your worship, I will move that we accept Ms. Cobbler's recommendation.
Thanks, Councillor Lewis.
I'll second that, your worship.
Thanks, Councillor Friesen. Council will go through and see if anyone's got any questions or comments for Ms. Cobbler in regards to this motion. I'll start it off with Councillor Tolles.
Thank you, Your Worship. And I noticed this is coming in at somewhat under what it was budgeted for, and that's always a good thing. And I understand the need for a street sweeper and to keep our city looking nice. I'm just wondering, you know, in this time of economic restraint, this was in last year's budget, and it's just a matter of agreeing tonight that we approving what we already approved. And so I think that you know, going forward into the future, I think we need to be looking at this recurring replacement of vehicles. If something can last an extra year, I think we should make it last an extra year. But we'll see how that works. But this one is going to be approved tonight, and that's just a necessary thing for our city. So thank you for letting me vent that.
Thanks, Councillor Tolles. Next up is Councillor Daigle.
Thank you, Your Worship. I have no questions or concerns.
Thank you, Councillor Martins.
Thanks, Your Worship. I'm just happy to see it coming in just under budget, and it wasn't even the most pricey one on the list yet, with the highest rating for it. So I can appreciate it that it did come in under budget on that front, and that's all I have to add. Thank you.
Councillor Lewis.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship, and thanks for bringing this report. Obviously, this is an important piece of equipment for our community, and you know, I just reflecting on what Councillor Tolles had said, that absolutely, you know, I think that's absolutely true. However, you know, I do think that, you know, in this case, a 2005 is getting to be the point where it's probably not very useful for very long into the future. And And I'm sure that the folks that run these units, if they're saying that if it's exceeded its service life and is showing signs of fatigue, we don't want to be putting us in a position where we're looking for one of these units in an emergency basis. It's better to have these things planned. And I know that we do have a replacement schedule for these things as well. So I have a pretty good deal of faith that this is a fairly high need unit. And I know that when we do go through our budget process, that's back in December, because we pass a budget now prior to any funds for that budget year being spent. If it was something that was needed in December, it surely is going to be needed by the time this thing gets delivered as well. And they don't get delivered overnight. So with all due respect to Councillor Tolles and his comments, which are very true, certainly a time of restraint, and we will be watching those pennies. I think that this is a pretty reasonable use of funds in this case, and I'll be in support. So thanks very much.
Thanks, Councillor Lewis. Next up is Councillor Bowditch.
Nothing further, Your Worship.
Thanks, Councillor Friesen.
Nothing to add. Thanks, Your Worship.
Thanks. All comments well said. This motion is made by Councillor Lewis. It is seconded by Councillor Friesen. All those in favor? Council, the motion's passed. Next up, I'll hand it over this time to Mr. Minkin. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Good evening, Your Worship and members of Council. This first report deals with the Town of Herbert Regional Water Treatment Operator Agreement. In compliance with the Saskatchewan Water Security Agency regulations, the Town of Herbert recently upgraded their water treatment plant to a blended source multi-stage filtration system with reverse osmosis. This upgrade has increased the complexity of the system, and a recent Water Security Agency review redesignated the Herbert Water Treatment Plant from a Class 2 to a Class 3 plant. Moving from a Class 2 to a Class 3 plant has left the Town of Herbert without a certified operator to supervise plant operations. The Town of Herbert contacted the City of Swift Current to request assistance. They have asked that the City of Swift Current provide a Class 3 water treatment plant operator to oversee their water treatment plant until such time as their operator can achieve Class 3 certification. In the spirit of regional cooperation and with input from the Water Security Agency, a 6-month regional operator agreement was drafted. This agreement states that the City of Swift Current will provide a Class 3 water treatment operator to oversee the Town of Herbert's water treatment plant and be available for upset and emergency conditions. The cost of this service will be covered by the Town of Herbert. It is therefore respectfully recommended that Council enter into agreement with the Town of Herbert to provide water treatment plant operator coverage at no cost to the City of Swift Current, and that the Mayor and City Clerk be authorized to sign the agreement.
Thank you, Mr. Minkin. Council will be looking for a motion.
Well, thank you, Your Worship. I'm happy to make the recommendation that we accept, or the motion that we accept the recommendation that Council enter into agreement with the Town of Herbert to provide WTP operator coverage at no cost to the City of Swift Current, and the Mayor and the City Clerk be authorized to sign the agreement.
Thank you so much, Councillor Daigle.
I'll second that, Your Worship.
Thanks, Councillor Martins. Council, I'm sure you know that I've had a chance to meet with the Mayor of Herbert many times. They're a very nice community, just really close to us, a really good partner and a good neighbor. This is an example, I think, of that type of good neighborly behavior and working together. Before we hand it over to Council, I just want to share with you that our administrative team has worked very hard on this. Thank you, Mr. McKinnon. Thank you, Mr. Marcus, for working with the administration team in Herbert, as well as their council, to be able to make something like this move forward. And with that, I'll hand it over to Council to see if you have any questions or comments. I'll start it off with Councillor Tolles.
Thank you, Your Worship. And you said it very well. And I think what a great opportunity. When this first was presented to us, I thought what a great opportunity to help a neighbor, to help a friend, and to share our resources. And at no cost, we can be kind to our neighbors. And that's important in this world. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Tolles. Councillor Daigle.
I agree with yourself and Councillor Tolles. I think this is an excellent example of what type of partnerships that we can create with our neighbors. It goes along with what the regional land site is going to be like, and going forward, I hope we have more relationships like this. So yeah, I'll be happy to support this motion.
Thanks, Councillor Daigle. Councillor Martins?
Thanks, Your Worship. I share the same. It's a great partnership, and I'm glad that we, the City of Swift Current, can provide some assistance to the town of Herbert.
Thanks so much. Councillor Lewis?
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. This is a great result. Another great example of how partnerships can work in the Southwest. And I just wanted to say, thanks to Mayor Matthews and their council and admin team for reaching out when they had a need, because this is something that, we can certainly afford to help with. And I certainly hope that we see more reports like this in the future with municipal cooperation. And while I know it's, it does eat up a lot of staff time, and I appreciate our administration's team to work on this as well. I think it's a really key component of moving forward into what regional government is going to look like in the future, as we're all trying to do more with very finite resources. So I just want to say thanks to all involved. Thanks again to you, actually, Your Worship, for making this happen as well. I know the relationship is a good one there with the mayor of that community, and I look forward to seeing the results of this be talked at our next Southwest Municipal Government meeting when we eventually convene again. So thanks for now.
Thanks, Councillor Lewis, and thanks for serving on that committee. Southwest Municipal Government is very important to this group, and I know that you bring a lot of good positivity there, and it's helping build these type of positive relationships. So thank you for that. Councillor Bowditch, you're up next.
It's a good news story, and that's all I got to say, Your Worship. Thank you.
Very well said. Councillor Friesen?
Well, Your Worship, I'm in full support and agree with everything everyone says, and I certainly hope that we'll be seeing more of this regional cooperation in the future. I think it's vital for everyone's success. Thank you.
Thanks so much. And for the public's benefit, no cost to our taxpayers and truly a benefit to our regional partners. So it is truly a win-win, something that I know this council administration work hard on every day. This motion was made tonight by Councillor Daigle. It was seconded by Councillor Martins. Council, all those in favor? Thank you. Motion's approved. Next off, I'll hand it over to Mr. Minkin.
Thank you. This report deals with transit bus replacements. The City of Swift Current offers public Swift Transit and paratransit access transit services to the residents of Swift Current as an affordable, accessible option for commuting. These services are accessed most often by those without a personal vehicle, those who choose not to drive, and by our senior population, and offers an important component to the quality of life in our community. Adhering to the progressive growth objectives defined in the city's strategic plan, the updated Swift Transit was launched in 2015 as a hybrid system, which included a main route and a feeder or shuttle bus. Data collection is continuously analyzed to find efficiencies within the transit system. In 2017, the feeder or shuttle bus was replaced with a second route to eliminate dispatch costs and allow for an easier, more reliable way for riders to plan their commutes. Additionally, a school route was developed to assist students within the core of the city and increase ridership, which has now reached 30,000 rides per year. In 2019, a transit survey was developed to gain insight into improvements that could be made to the system and gather feedback about the need for transit services. Both users and non-users were targeted for the survey, with an aggressive marketing distribution over social media platforms that resulted in a 1-to-3 user to non-user ratio in the sample. An overwhelming 80% of the respondents deemed daily transit services as important to their community. Also, 85% of the respondents felt the transit system is essential to support community events. Swift Transit has provided transportation to many events within the city, including the Western Canada Summer Games, the CCA Rodeo, Hockey Day in Canada, Long Days Night, the Ford Women's World Curling Championships, Community Christmas Dinner, Legion Remembrance Day, Senior Homes Twinkle Tours, and many charters for conferences and various small events. Access Transit provides curb-to-curb transportation by appointment to people with disabilities who are unable to use public transportation. The City of Swift Current shares in our partner Saskability's vision of working together to build inclusive communities for people of all abilities. The replacement criteria for both Swift and Access Transit fleet are based on kilometers and/or year of the vehicle, which is 10 years or 250,000 kilometers, to reduce maintenance costs as well as to provide reliable service. The fleet scheduled for replacement in 2019, 2020, and 2021 are two 1997 New Flyer refurbished Swift Transit buses and one 2006 Access bus. The New Flyer buses have become unreliable and parts are costly and difficult to obtain. These two larger buses are also double the fuel consumption versus the smaller type buses. Operating costs are estimated to be reduced by $75,000 annually by the replacement of these buses. The 2006 Access bus has also been challenging to maintain. It has surpassed the replacement criteria of 10 years, and its lift is under capacity for today's wheelchairs. A request for proposals was posted on SAS Tenders for one Access bus and for one public transit bus, with the option to purchase a second public transit bus dependent on pricing and budget approval. The city received one submission for the Swift Transit bus and two submissions for the Access Transit bus. Crestline Coach Limited was rated the highest among the submissions. The purchasing department contacted Crestline Coach to determine any cost savings if the city were to move forward with purchasing the second Swift Transit bus. Crestline has provided a total price reduction of $18,660 if the city includes the second Swift Transit bus in the purchase. It should be noted that delivery of these buses will not be until early 2021. The City of Swift Current was also successful in the Government of Saskatchewan's Transit Assistance for People with Disabilities Capital Funding Grant in the amount of $55,000 to be applied towards the purchase of the Access Transit bus. Budget for the replacement of these buses, as per the fleet replacement schedule, is as follows. All budget values are PST included and GST excluded. 2019, the capital budget was approved to replace one of the 1997 New Flyer refurbished Swift Transit buses at $170,000. In 2020, the capital budget was approved to replace the 2006 Chevrolet Access Transit bus at $130,000. In 2021, the capital budget was capital proposed budget to replace the remaining 1997 New Flyer refurbished Swift Transit bus was budgeted to be $170,000. The total capital budget for those 3 years of $470,000. The replacement of these buses will be funded through the Light and Power dividends at $415,000 and the TAP D grant of $55,000. The purchase of 3 buses from Crestline Coach is recommended, receiving the highest evaluation score for Access Transit and deemed to be the best value, and is within the 3-year capital budget of $470,000. It is therefore respectfully recommended that the proposals from Crestline Coach Limited of Saskatoon, Sask, for the supply and delivery of 2 Swift Transit buses and 1 Access Transit bus for $454,303.26 PST, included, GST excluded, be approved, and that the council approves the funding from the 2021 capital budget.
Thank you, Mr. Minkin. Council, I'll be looking for a motion, but in this case, we've got 2 motions for this agenda item. So Council, the first motion, please.
Your worship, I'll move that the proposals from Crestline Coach of Saskatoon for the supply and delivery of 2 Swift Transit buses and 1 Access Transit bus for $454,303.26 be approved.
Thank you, Councillor Friesen.
I'll second that, your worship.
And thank you, Councillor Bowditch. Council, same thing. We'll go through the same order to see if anybody's got any questions or comments in regards to this part of the motion. Sorry, this motion as part of the agenda. Started off with Councillor Tolles.
Thank you again, your worship. And, you know, busing is an expensive proposition and we need to provide that service for people in our community who need it. Glad we got some grant money. Glad we're able to spread it out over 3 different budget years. And it's just an expense that we are going to have to bite and make happen for the people of our community. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Tolles. Next up is Councillor Daigle.
Yes, thank you, your worship. Thanks for the report, Mr. Minkin. I just have one question. The TAPD grant, $55,000, will be applied against that $454,303.26. Am I correct?
That is correct.
So then the light and power, the rest of the funding will be $399,303 that has to be paid through the dividend or the. Am I right? Yeah.
That's correct. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Daigle. Thanks for the clarification. Councillor Martins, you're up next.
Thanks, your worship. And I do agree with Councillor Tolles. It's, you know, the information, you know, the survey has been out last year in regards to whether you write it, whether you don't write it, is it necessary, is it not necessary? And, you know, the overwhelming majority of people found that whether they do or they don't write it, they found that it is a necessary thing for people in the community that do utilize it for it to be here. So if I'm being honest with you, I can't tell you how many times I've seen those buses broken down in the community. I mean, I've seen it many a time where it sit there parked on the side of the road for 2 hours because it needs fixing. So for those that do utilize the services, the current services just aren't very reliable, period. So if this is what we need to do in order to ensure that the people that do utilize the service can have a safe and reliable way to get where they're going, whether it's to work, because many do utilize it, that do utilize the bus service, do utilize it to go to work, then I think this is the necessary way that we have to go about doing it. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Martins. Next up is Councillor Lewis.
Thanks, your worship. Mr. Minkin, thanks for the report. We've had lots of opportunity to talk about busing in our community over the last several years, and we have had opportunity to talk about this particular report as well. And while I don't think it's any secret that I've been skeptical of busing in our community and how it's going to work, I will certainly recognize the hard work that our admin team has put into making it as economical as possible for the ratepayers in the city of Swift Current, while providing the service that clearly, overwhelmingly, if 80% of respondents have told us that they deem it as important for our community, then it's obviously something that is important for our community to be looking at providing as a service. So I agree with the other councillors that say, when you add up the grant funds and the fact that this is spreading over 3 budget years, 2019, 2020, and then also approving some into 2021, it's certainly something that admin has worked very hard on making work for our community. I want to recognize the hard work and dedication that's gone into that. I'll be in support of this proposal as well, because if we're going to have busing in our community, we have to have buses to provide that service, obviously. And we are either in the busing game or we are not in the busing game. And this report shows the community that we are in the busing game. And I look forward to continue talking about busing in our community what that looks like, and ways that we can continue to try to find efficiencies to make sure it's a service that we can continue to provide into the future. So thanks, I'll be in support.
Thanks, Councillor Lewis. Next up is Councillor Bowditch.
Thank you, Your Worship. Again, everything was really well said, and I actually wholeheartedly support this decision. Just for the simple fact is, if we're going to be in the bus business, we have to have something reliable. It's very, very embarrassing to have buses broken down, not able to run, and the time has come to make some changes. And as much as it's expensive, we have to do this. So I will be supporting Your Worship.
Thanks, Councillor Bowditch. Next up is Councillor Friesen.
Thanks, Your Worship. A couple of items that jumped out at me in this report. The first was 30,000 rides per year. So that's a fair number of people using this service, more than maybe I would have thought. And the other number that jumped out was the $75,000 savings in operating costs every year by having new buses. So I'll certainly be supporting. I think there's a lot of good reasons to move forward with the new buses and to continue that service. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Councillor Friesen. All very well said comments, and thank you, Council, for expressing those and for sharing them. Thank you for admin for putting this together. I think to sum it up, about $450 to spend, 55 back in a grant, 75 a year savings means this is paid for in about 5 years. So pretty good deal. And to echo what Councillor Lewis said, you know, if we want, and Councillor Bowditch, if we want to be in the business of busing, of course, we need to have buses. The first motion is made by Councillor Friesen and seconded by Councillor Bowditch. Council, all those in favor? See all hands up. First motion is made and accepted. Council, I'd be looking for the second motion of this agenda item.
Your Worship, I'll take the second one as well, and that would be that we approve the funding from the 2021 capital budget.
Thanks, Councillor Friesen.
I'll second that, Your Worship.
Thanks, Councillor Bowditch. Council, we'll go through in the same order and see if anybody's got any comments or questions in regards to this motion. I'll start it off with Councillor Tolles.
Surprisingly enough, no comments. Thank you.
Thanks. Likely all well said in the first one, but Councillor Tolles, thank you. Councillor Daigle next.
Yeah, nothing for me, Your Worship. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Martins.
I think it was all well summed up in the first motion.
Thanks. Councillor Lewis.
Nothing further for me.
Councillor Bowditch.
Nothing further, Your Worship. Thank you.
Councillor Friesen.
Nothing further. Thank you.
Motion made by Councillor Friesen, seconded by Councillor Bowditch. All those in favor? All hands up. Motion passed.
Your Worship, before we move into the next agenda item, I would like to declare a conflict, as this item deals with property owned by the Pioneer Cooperative Association, and I am a contractor for that organization. So I would ask to be put in the waiting room until we're done with this agenda item.
My apologies to the group. We had a bit of a hiccup there. I was speaking with Madam Clerk. It sounds like she had the same. We're running on the same service. So with that, we did hear from Councillor Friesen. Sum up, you would like to be excluded from this one. You're declaring a conflict as a result of being a contractor with the Pioneer Co-op. Am I correct?
That's correct. Thanks, Your Worship.
Thanks so much. And with that, Mr. Boutillier, can you put Councillor Friesen in the lobby, the virtual lobby? Looks like that happened quickly. With that, I'll hand it over to Mr. Sahlberg. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship and members of council. This report does deal with a proposal to consolidate 2 lots located in the 1800 block of Springs Drive. The city has received an application from Pioneer Cooperative Association Limited to consolidate 2 lots located in a C3, which is a highway commercial district. This consolidation is required for the applicant's future commercial development plans. The proposal was reviewed against the city's development plan, zoning bylaw, and subdivision bylaw, as well as other bylaws, policies, and statutory requirements, and no issues were identified in this review. The attached plan of consolidation of these 2 lots will create one single parcel, which will be approximately 7 acres in size, and will accommodate future commercial development of the consolidated lands. This proposal was circulated to various agencies for review. Comments received are as follows. The Department of Highways and Sask Power had no objection. City of Swift Current, SaskTel, Shaw Cable, and Sask Energy all indicated that existing facilities and easements need to be maintained, relocated, or terminated at developer's cost. New facilities and easements may be required under a service agreement with the developer. The provision of dedicated lands does not apply to this proposal, as the requirement was met through a previous subdivision, and the development does not create any need for additional dedication of land. With that, I would respectfully recommend that the proposed consolidation of lots 1 and 2, Block 2, Plan 86 SC 13452 Extension 0 be approved, and that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to sign the certificate of approval.
Thanks for that, Mr. Sahlberg. Council, looking for a motion, please.
Your worship, I will move that the proposed consolidation of these 2 lots as outlined in the proposal be approved, and that the mayor and city clerk be authorized to sign the agreement.
Thank you, Councillor Tolles.
I'll second that, your worship.
Thanks, Councillor Martins. Council, we'll go through and see if anybody's got any questions or comments for Mr. Sahlberg, and I'll start it off with Councillor Tolles.
No questions, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Daigle.
Yeah, nothing for me. Thanks, your worship.
Councillor Martins.
Nothing for me, thank you.
Councillor Lewis.
No questions, thanks.
Councillor Bowditch.
No questions, your worship.
Thanks. Councillor Friesen is not here since she's in the virtual lobby. I'll just sum it up. Pretty administrative. Definitely thank you to Mr. Sahlberg and to administration for the work that I know that you did with this particular property owner in order to work with them ultimately to get to development. This motion is made by Councillor Tolles, seconded by Councillor Martins. All those in favor? All hands up. Motion passed. Mr. Bachelier, kindly invite Councillor Friesen back in. Welcome back, Councillor Friesen.
Thank you.
That gets us through our items for action for this evening. Getting us down to new business. Council, we have 2 items. We'll be looking for a motion to receive and file. Both items we have in our package, and both items we had a chance to read through since late last week. First is the Swift Current Branch Library Board meeting minutes from September the 2nd, 2020. And the second is the Southwest Transportation Planning Council Incorporated's Executive Working Committee agenda for September the 25th, 2020. Council, looking for a motion to receive and file.
Your worship, I will move that we receive and file the minutes and agenda as you had speculated.
I'll second that, your worship.
Thanks, Councillor Lewis and Councillor Friesen. Council, we'll see if anybody's got any questions or comments in regards to this item, and I'll start with Councillor Tolles.
No, all good, thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Daigle.
Nothing here. Thanks, your worship.
Councillor Martins.
Nothing, thank you.
Councillor Lewis.
Well, looks like things are humming along at those 2 organizations.
Councillor Bowditch.
Nothing here, your worship.
Councillor Friesen.
Nothing further, your worship. Thank you.
Thanks. Motion made by Councillor Lewis, seconded by Councillor Friesen. All those in favor? Motion to receive and file is passed. Thank you. Council, we've got no other items on here for this evening. Just a reminder to the public, election season is upon us. If you've got any questions, or if you're interested in doing it or interested in working for the election, please head over to swiftcurrent.ca. We got lots of details thanks to our city clerk, Jackie Schlamp, and her team, who've been working hard all summer to build packages together for anyone interested in serving on council, on mayor, or on the school board. There's a candidate package as well. There's information for those in those particular positions. With that, Council, I just wanted to share to the public, thank you for all the good work that you continue to do to keep all of us safe. Our numbers here in the Southwest, as we've been watching, are definitely improving and getting better every day. And it's because of the diligence, hard work, and sacrifice that everyone here in the Southwest continues to do. With that, Council, I'll be looking for a motion to adjourn this evening's meeting.
Your worship, I will make said motion to adjourn tonight's council meeting via Zoom for September the 21st.
Thanks, Councillor Martins.
And I will second that, Your Worship.
It's Councillor Tolles. Motion's made by Councillor Martin, seconded by Councillor Tolles. All those in favor? Motion's adjourned. Meeting's adjourned. Motion's accepted. Have a great week, everybody, and hope to see everybody real soon.